Now, first of all, how did Martin Luther King Jr. become Martin Luther King Jr.? Well, in order to be a junior, there must be a senior. So, his father was Martin Luther King Sr., and his wife was Alberta King. And we have baby Martin Luther King Jr. here. A fun fact for you, Martin Luther King Sr. was a priest, and Alberta King's father was also a priest. So, Martin Luther King's father and grandfather were both priests, so he was bound to become a priest one way or another. As we can see here, he was with the Holy Bible. Now, if we go farther into, let's just say he's 8 years old now, and he actually got a job at Atlanta Journal as a paper boy. So now he's coming to deliver papers, and it's fun, because life is fun, right? Then, in 1944, Martin Luther King Jr. delivers a speech called The Negroes and the Constitution in Dublin, Georgia, which talked about how after the Civil War they promised freedom to all men, but for the black Americans, it wasn't really the same. A few months later, he enters Morehouse, a historic black school. In 1948, Martin Luther King begins his first year at Crozer Theological Seminary, where he learns to become a pastor. In 1951, Martin Luther King graduates from Crozer with a Bachelor of Divinity degree. There he is with his little cap. And then, finally, in 1953, Martin Luther King marries Coretta Scott, and now in 1963, Martin Luther King delivers his famous I Have a Dream speech. Here's a picture from the speech. I remember off the top of my head a great quote from that speech. It is, I have a dream that one day little black boys and little black girls will be able to play with little white boys and little white girls. Can't remember anything else after that or stuff like that. Then, in 1964, he wins the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh my goodness gracious, that's like the best thing you could ever have in the world, except for maybe a McDonald's hamburger. Those two things are the best things you can get in the world. But then, sadly, we have gone to 1968, where death is imminent, where Martin Luther King Jr. is murdered out of his motel room. And I remember from a book I read, one of the last things he said, or what a bystander thought he said, he said, oh. It's just like oh, before he died, he said oh. Oh could have meant a lot of things. Like, oh no, or something else. But that's the big question. What was he trying to say? Oh. Interesting. You all may be wondering, Stickman, what do you feel about all this? What do you feel about what he did and what this day means to you and stuff like that? Generally, I don't like to look at it like that. I like to look at it like, what can you learn from what happened? And what can you do better? I like to think that he was a big part of American history. Without him, there would be a huge gap in America and how the land of the free became the land of the free. It gave a lot of ideals to civil rights and how people view other people today. It's a good thing to look upon his activism and his love for his community, enough so that he talks to the whole American people to help them see his community as theirs as well. That's kind of my view on this. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.